Hi, welcome back to this video tutorial series on operating the UIL Digital Tab Room. For this video, we're going to be looking at results entry, which is kind of the biggest thing for the whole deal. So we can click to get to it right here where it says results entry, or you can pull it up on the menu over here under Meet Operations. It's going to take you to the same spot. And here we're going to cover a few things. We're going to cover navigation, how to get around in this little segment of the interface, how to enter results, and then kind of the hardest and biggest thing is how to handle ties. And then the last thing is how to handle data validation. So we're going to start off slow and ramp up by the end of the video. But first off, you got to know how to navigate it. Over here on the left, we have a menu of all of the different events. And as a default, you're going to start off with a bunch of incomplete events because your meet is just starting. But as you enter results and you get them back and you publish them, they're going to go over to complete in this little tab. So you'll be able to see all your completed events over here. I've made up some fake data for number, sense, and current events and published those over here so you can see those listed. And then there's a tab that just shows you all events, complete or not. And there's a nice little search bar for if you're looking for something real quick. So you go, find your event over here. I'm going to find Ready Writing as my first event. That will never be your first event that's actually scored, but it is the first event of the day. And over here, we are going to start to enter some results. Now, Ready Writing just has first through sixth place, pretty normal. I'm going to use my standard set of fictional names. Amy Adams, Betty Boop, Betty Boop, Catwoman, Donald Duck, Elmer Fudd, Fantastic Four, which is not an individual, but I just spelled fantastic wrong because I was talking while I did it. Fantastic Four. There we go. Okay, so you just enter in your people's names and then you pick their school. I'm going to say these first three went to Hallsville. That's where I'm from, so when I'm making up fictional data, they always win. And then we'll say the other ones are from Longview. Okay, but you can change those. You can add whichever ones you need. I'll put a Marshall in there. And it'll automatically have their award and then how many UIL points they get. If there's a score, you can put it here. Ready Writing does not receive a score. So you just leave that column blank. And then it's going to tell you if that data is valid or not. We'll talk about ways data can be invalid at the end of this video. And then we do the same thing for small schools. I'm going to go ahead and skip making up new names and just copy paste those same ones over there. We'll do Pine Tree. Let's make up some data. Shelbyville. Let's see. Spring Hill. Van. And then we'll do the last two as Pine Tree. We'll give it to them. Okay. So then we have all of those. And then combined shows you just all of the different awards. And then it's used for speech and debate. But there you go. That's how you enter some results. Now up here at the top, you're going to see something that says results status. It's also going to be reflected over here in this menu. So either the results status is going to be invalid. Well, it's going to be entry not started if you haven't done anything. It's going to be invalid if you messed it up somehow. It's going to say valid and unpublished. And then after you've finished all of your results and you're ready for it to go live to the website, you hit this button over here, publish. Then it's going to say valid and published. Once it says valid and published, it's going to go over here to complete because it's all done. And you finished your entry. So that's the most basic form of entry. I'm going to go ahead and copy paste those names so I don't have to keep typing them in. And then we're going to go do another event that might be a little bit harder. Okay, so for example, let's do calculator applications. Calculator applications also has teams. So maybe Hallsville High School won that one and Longview High School got second. I'm going to pick all of those again. Hallsville will get the first 3. Longview will get those. We'll give Mount Pleasant 1. Mount Pleasant's actually pretty good. And then we'll give those to those teams. So that's the entry. You're putting in all of the names. You're adding all of their schools. It automatically gives you all of their points. And then you do the same thing for the small schools. We'll say Pine Tree's winning that. And then Spring Hill. We'll give these first 3 to Pine Tree. And then we'll give the rest of them to Spring Hill. And then we'll go Pine Tree, add Spring Hill. Now note, you're only going to be able to add schools here if you have registered them. If they are not registered, they're not going to show up on that list. So you're going to have to go back to school registration and register them if they're not showing up. You can also add in scores here. So we can put in a calculator score. This is terrible. I do not remember what the top calculator score is. So maybe a 325, maybe a 289. That's a 189. 289, that's not great. Whatever, you could have your scores going all the way down here. Don't come at me if these are not valid calculator scores. And then I don't really want to add all of that up. So some number that's something like 900. We'll go 950. Obviously those are invalid, but scores to add up to those things. But we're just making up data here so I don't have to do any actual addition. Anyway, so that could be an example of our data. That's an easy case. You got it all filled in. You just put the names, you put the schools, you're all good. Now we're going to start handling some cases where the data is not quite that nice to you. And that happens a lot if there are ties. Okay, so we'll start off with an easy tie. Let's say that Catwoman and Donald Duck here, they tied. Now for calculator, tying means you got the same number of word and geometry problems, right, I think, and I believe they put that as decimals in the score. So I've left decimals as an option here in the score for you to put that. Now if there's a true tie between two people, you're going to have to reflect that in the awards. Because you can see over here, even though they have the exact same score, Catwoman is getting 10 UIL points and Donald Duck is getting 8, and that is not how ties work. To get the tie value, you're going to take those two numbers and average them. Now, I've already done all that work for you. You do not have to do any math at all. You just need to change what award each of these people is getting. So Catwoman and Donald Duck here are both getting 3rd place, but it is a tie. So we're going to click over here to the plus symbol for an award and scroll down, and we've got 3rd place tie. There's also 3rd place tie 3-way if 3 different people are tying, but this is just 2. So we're going to do 3rd place tie. And you see everything turns red because we haven't fixed everything yet. We're going to get rid of 3rd because Catwoman no longer has 3rd. Catwoman has 3rd tie. And then we're also going to give Donald Duck 3rd tie, which I can do by dragging down or copy paste or switch it out the same way that I did the other. Now you can see everything's back to being valid. And that's because they both now have 9 points. Now maybe Elmer Fudd also got 3rd place tie. If that's the case, we're going to give him 3rd place tie as well, except we don't want 3 3rd place ties to get 9 points because that's not an average of all 3 of those spots. It was just an average of the top 2 spots. If there's a 3-way tie, you have to change that out. Instead of 3rd tie, for 3rd tie, 3-way, and get rid of 3rd tie. So now we can pull those down, and it's going to give each of those people 8 points instead of 9 points. So if you are dealing with a tie, you're going to have to change out what award is being given. Now, sometimes that's a little bit harder. For example, CX or computer science or science has some weird awards. And I'm just opening up the menu here so you can see them. So way down here at the bottom, you've got top biology ties, top chemistry ties, top physics ties, computer science team tie, like all the different wacky award ties. you have down here at the bottom of the list. So if you got a weird tie, most likely it is on that list, and you're going to be able to set it up that way. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch these back to what they were, which was 3rd, Elmer Fudd was 5th, and Donald Duck was 4th. Okay, so we're back to normal. And then deal with a different tie scenario, okay? One of the other things that can happen is you have multiple ties for 6th place. If that is the case, you do not have enough results listed here. So to do that, to make that change, you can click this little plus here, and it's going to add you a whole new row to put in a word on. So this might be another person who's getting a 6th tie. So this could be Godzilla, if we're continuing in our alphabetical theme. Godzilla and Fantastic Four might have the 6th place tie, and we'll say Godzilla went to Shelbyville High School. And now both Godzilla and Fantastic Four have a 6th place tie. You can also do a 6th place tie 3 ways by adding another one if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and delete Godzilla back out of here and put Fantastic Four back as 6th place. So we've covered ties in the top of the order. We've covered ties at 6th place. You can add however many you need. But there's a very rare situation where you might need a type of tie that I have not put into that menu, because there are so many different options. You could have 4-way ties, 5-way ties, 6-way ties for all of the different places. And that is way too much to put in that menu. It would become very overwhelming and hard to navigate. So you might potentially, it'd be very rare, have to make your own custom tie. Good news is, I've already set up this database where it can do the math and you do not have to, okay? So if you need a new type of tie that is not in that list because it's like a 4-way tie or a 5-way tie or something ridiculous, you go over here to this button that says New Tie Needed, and you click on it. And it's gonna pull up this form that's gonna create a new tie type for you. And it's gonna do all the math, okay? But you have to be careful how you set it up. So we're gonna put in the name. I put in the standard format that I use. It doesn't really matter if you name it something wacky, but whatever you name it's gonna show up on the public facing website. So it's nice if it looks nice. For example, maybe there was a 5-way tie for 4th, okay? So I would say 4th place because that's, or 4th, because that's what's actually happening. So 4th, and it's a tie. And then I put the number of ways. So it's a 4th place tie that is 5 ways. So 5-way, 4th tie, 5-way. And then the type is going to be either specific to an event. So like if it's a weird CX tie or weird computer science, weird science, and like top biophys chem, something like that. You can do event specific. And then individual if it's an individual person or set of individual people, and then team if it's a couple of teams tying or some number of teams tying. So here this would be an individual one, but you would pick what's appropriate. And then you say replacing which awards, okay? So a 5-way tie for 4th is going to take 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th and combine them all into one. But the deal is 4th, 7th, and 8th place get no points. They don't have an award, okay? So I'm only going to replace 4th, 5th, and 6th. If it's below 6th, it gets no points, so it doesn't matter. We don't have to link it. But this is going to replace all of those awards. And then we put how many people it is split between. And this is going to be split between 5 people, and that needs to be a numerical value right there. So we do create, and then we can go back to our results entry. Okay, and we're going to say that happened in the large schools. So we have Donald Duck, Elmer Fudd, Fantastic Four, and 2 others have all tied for 4th place. That's going to be Godzilla and the Hulk. Okay, so I want to say 4th place tie, and now when you open this, you're going to have that tie listed in your menu, 4th tie, 5-way. I'm going to copy that and paste it on all the people that need it. Or you could go pick it out of the menu. Again, it doesn't really matter. And then these 2 people, I'm going to put from Mount Pleasant just because it's real easy right there. Okay, so now that gives all of those people 3.6 points, because if you took all the points awarded for 4th, 5th, 6th, plus 7th and 8th, which get none, so 4th, 5th, 6th, and divide all those points out between 5 people, they each get 3.6 points, which is such a wacky tie, but it's totally possible. It just very rarely happens. So if you have a very, very odd tie that is not listed there, you can go make a new one. It's going to automatically calculate up all those UIL points for you so that you don't have to deal with any of that mess. And we're still going to have a nice sum total of 70 points for that event. Okay, so that's handling ties. One of the other things that can happen at meets, especially with speech and debate events, is you might not have enough competitors. So we might say Amy Adams, Betty Boop, Catwoman, and Donald Duck all competed for original oratory and nobody else did, okay? So I want to say Amy Adams goes to Hallsville, Betty Boop goes to Longview, Catwoman goes to Marshall, Donald Duck goes to Pine Tree. I forgot Duck there. And nobody else competed in those others, okay? If nobody else competed, I'm going to just go ahead and delete those awards because we're not giving them out. But the problem with that happens when we come around to data validation. So if you have fewer people than results and you had to delete some, you're deleting out points that were supposed to be awarded. So this event was supposed to have, let's see, before I deleted, 55 points. And then I delete those out. And now it's only got 45. Well, my program says that's not how many you're supposed to award. There must be a problem. So if that happens, I have an override that lets you change it. And how we do that is we look at how many points were actually given out, 45, and we scroll down all the way to the bottom. And we have this thing, this event point override for the different classifications. Excuse me. So for this one, it's combined. For all speech and debate ones, it's combined. I'm actually giving out 45 points. And then it's going to stop raising red flags. It's going to say, oh, okay, you meant to do 45 points. Cool. We're good with 45 points. And the program won't scream at you at all. Okay, so that is all of the kind of weird cases we have covered. Putting in regular results, putting in results with teams, putting in ties, putting in 6th place ties, making new crazy ties, and deleting out results when you have fewer people than you have awards. And that's pretty much all of the weird entry scenarios that you could come across. And then we're going to look at some data validation stuff. Actually, we're not going to do that. I'm going to make a different video about that. But that's all the entry stuff that you should need to know. See you in the next video.